Hello everybody, and welcome to the Blueworks Live October 2016 release preview session. I'm Margaret Thorpe, Blueworks Live Offering Manager, and today I'm going to be giving you an overview of the Blueworks Live release that's coming out this coming weekend on Saturday, October 29th. So in this release of Blueworks Live, we've added some new glossary administration features. We've enhanced our reporting APIs and simplified SSO support. To help with the impact analysis of glossary content, the glossary now displays the date that a value was first added along with the user that added it. The glossary view can also be sorted now in various columns and filtered based on the visibility settings. Glossary managers also have more control over glossary contents now. The glossary can easily be pre-populated by entering property values directly. Now we're also making it possible for glossary managers to encourage the use of preferred values within their account by enabling warnings for certain properties. When a user tries to enter a non-preferred value for one of these properties, they will receive a warning. Now also in this release, we're introducing a new set of APIs designed for reporting. This includes APIs for finding, getting details, and getting usage information for blueprints, policies, and glossary items. These new APIs are simpler and easier to use. They're specified using Swagger, and they return results in JSON format. And we've improved the API documentation by including the human-readable YAML schemas with the documentation to make it easier to navigate and understand. So let's take a closer look at these new features. First up are the new glossary administration features. We've added some new details for glossary values. You can now see the date that a value was added to the glossary, as well as the name of the user who added it. To do this, just click on the Show Details button in the upper right-hand corner of the glossary page. Now here you can see these additional columns displayed on the glossary page. Now if you prefer the less cluttered view, you can simply click on Hide Details to toggle back to the regular view. And of course, these details are included in the export when the glossary is exported to Excel. Now glossary values can be sorted now in ascending or descending order based on any glossary column. So simply click on the name of the column to sort it based on that field. In this screenshot you can see that I'm sorting system glossary values alphabetically based on the name of the value, but I could also choose to sort on the added by column or the date added column or any other that I might choose. So you can also filter your view of glossary contents based on the visibility settings. So for example, you may want to only see preferred values in your glossary view. Or let's say you're trying to clean up your glossary. You may want to just see the non-preferred values so that you can merge them and clean them up. To do this, you can toggle on or off the various visibility settings in the upper right-hand corner of the glossary page, as you can see here on the screenshot. Now you can have as many of them on as you like, and the default continues to display all of the glossary values as you're accustomed to seeing today when you first navigate to the glossary. So those are that's filtering on visibility settings. Now in the last release of Blueworks Live, we added a feature that allowed the glossary manager to directly add inputs and outputs to the glossary. Based on positive feedback we received on that, we've extended that capability to all of the different property categories within the Blueworks Live glossary, including custom properties. So to add a new value to the glossary in this manner, just click on the New button out to the right of the property category name. Here you can see that I'm adding a new system value to the glossary. Now we've added a new feature for glossary managers that are trying to encourage their Blueworks Live users to use preferred glossary values in their blueprints and decisions. In order to take advantage of this feature, the admin must enable it for the account by turning it on here on the Customization tab of the admin console. You can see here that there's a new customization option that says allow glossary managers to enable warnings for users that enter non-preferred values. Now if you check that box, glossary managers across your account will be able to leverage this feature. And here's how it works. Once the admin has enabled the feature for the account, then the glossary manager will see this new checkbox next to each property in the glossary that says warn users that enter non-preferred values. If the glossary manager checks this box, here's what the user is going to experience. When the user tries to enter a non-preferred value for this property, they will receive a warning, just like the one you see here that says the value, oscillation overthruster, is not preferred. Avoid using non-preferred values for this property if possible. Now, if the user is persistent, they can get around this warning and they can enter the non-preferred value anyway. So just to be clear, the intent of this feature is to encourage them to use preferred values, not to force them to. As there are many valid situations where the user may need to use a non-preferred value, and we didn't want to lock them out and make it so they couldn't continue documenting their processes in these types of situations. But it's a lot harder to do this now. So if you turn this on, we expect that users will select preferred values unless they really have a valid need to do otherwise, because it's kind of a pain to work around this. So those are the new glossary administration features. Now let's take a look at the new APIs. So we're in the process of restructuring our APIs for clarity, consistency, and ease of use. We haven't changed any of the existing APIs yet, but in this release we've added some new APIs that will show you the direction we're taking with this initiative. As you will see, the new APIs are better organized and they're easier to understand and easier to use. In part, this is because they're specified using Swagger, which is one of the most popular specifications for designing and documenting APIs. The Swagger spec provides a way to describe an API using a specific YAML schema that outlines the URI paths, the query parameters, and request and response bodies for that API. So you can actually download our YAML schema from the Blueworks Live API documentation if you like, and you can use Swagger tools to look through it. I provided some links here on this slide to more info about Swagger for those that are interested. So now let's take a quick look at the new APIs. So with this new Blueprints API, there's 3 different things that you can do. You can get a list of blueprints that meet some criteria, so you can filter on the space ID, the space name, or the archive state, and you must provide the name of the blueprint or a tag that you're searching on. Now if you know the ID for a specific blueprint, you can retrieve the details for that blueprint using the blueprint ID call. And if you need to find out every place that a particular blueprint is being used, you have this last Get Blueprint Usage API that will return the where used information for a blueprint. Now our existing APIs today don't allow you to retrieve policy information, so we've added a new API just for that purpose. It follows a very similar pattern to the Blueprint API that we just looked at. You can get a list of policies that meet some criteria, you can filter on the space ID, the space name, or the archive state, and you provide the name of the policy or a tag that you're searching on. You can retrieve the details of the specific policy if you know the policy ID, and you can find out everywhere that a particular policy is used with this Policies Usage API, the last one. So this is another new API. Today, you're not able to retrieve glossary values directly using our APIs, so we've added a new API that supports this. You can retrieve a list of glossary values that match a given criteria, for example, values for a particular glossary property like system, or glossary values with a particular name. If no criteria is specified, then a list of all glossary values that you have permission to see will be returned. And to find out where a particular glossary value is being used, we have the new Glossary Values Usage API, which does exactly that. So here, for example, you can see I'm using this new Glossary API, and you can see that I'm requesting, if you look up in the URL, you can see that I'm requesting the list of glossary values in the system property category. And I'm returned a set of values along with the ID, name, category, visibility, added by user, and the added by date. So this is just to give you a flavor for what the Glossary API, new Glossary API does. So this is really what you've seen here is the style our new APIs are going to follow, and so you can expect to see more APIs roll out over time with this kind of organization, and eventually we will deprecate some of our old APIs, but obviously that will take some time, and there will be a version associated with that for folks who are still need to use the old versions of the APIs for some time. Now, I mentioned Swagger a little bit earlier, and I just wanted to show you a screenshot of what the documentation looks like in a Swagger editor. So here you can see it's really easy to navigate through the documentation in the right pane and drill into the details for any particular API in the left pane. And also, I mentioned earlier that you can download our YAML schema from the Blueworks Live API documentation on the Knowledge Center. For each API that has been specified using Swagger, you'll see a section in the documentation where you can download and view the YAML schema if you need to. So, and this is what it looks like, obviously. So that's it on the new APIs. And that's really the summary of our October release. We've walked through a number of glossary enhancements today and looked at the new APIs. I'm not going to cover the SSO multi-account support as it's really quite specific to SSO users. If you're using SSO and you have multiple Blueworks Live accounts, you can contact our support team and they'll give you more info about how to set this up. And last but not least, I just wanted to remind everybody that Blueworks Live is no longer officially supporting Internet Explorer 8. We warned everybody at the beginning of the year that this was going to happen, and so now it's happened. And that's it. So thanks so much for your time today, and now I'm going to stop the recording and see if there's some questions in the chat that I can answer for you.